So there's a lot of scams and unethical behavior that's going on right now in the Raleigh, North Carolina real estate market. And frankly, it's getting really bad. Today, I'm going to tell you what's exactly going on, who's doing the scamming, and sometimes it's real estate agents, sometimes it's builders, sometimes buyers, sellers, sometimes there's professional scammers out there trying to take advantage of everybody. Now, we know this video is going to get some thumbs down from a lot of the real estate agents out there that watch our channel. We understand that, but please know we are not in any way calling out all real estate agents. We are real estate agents ourselves. We are not saying that everyone is terrible. We're not picking on anyone in particular. This is all about things that happen in our market. And frankly, some of these things are completely legitimate if they're done with good intentions in your heart. This is all about people that deliberately do things unethically and they twist the system to benefit themselves or others. So know this is all about intentions. This isn't about things that are going on. So with all that out of the way, let's get to the first thing that's quite suspicious. And that one is the coming soon bait and switch. And this one really gets under my skin. First, I need to again stress, the coming soon system is not by itself unethical. We're talking about ways that some real estate agents use it unethically to benefit themselves. Basically, the long and the short of it is the coming soon system is a way for a seller to sort of promote the home without buyers being officially able to see the home. Basically, the home goes on the MLS via the listing agent, and that of course then the listing cascades out to Zillow and TruliaRealtor.com to MortonBradbury.com to everywhere, but it comes as a coming soon status, meaning here's the house, but you can't see it until a set date. It's sort of a way to kind of early promote the house. And sometimes this is a good idea. We've even done coming soon for some of our listings ourselves at the request of the sellers. But what sometimes happens is a listing agent will put a home up as a coming soon home, but they'll only put 1 or 2 photos up and they'll leave it coming soon for a really long extended period of time, like say 3 weeks, 4 weeks, even 5 weeks. And so sometimes the goal of this, of putting up just 1 or 2 photos and being on the market a long time, sometimes the goal of this is to encourage unrepresented buyers to reach out to the listing agent. That way the listing agent is able to handle both sides of the transaction, which is called in the industry double ending a deal, meaning they're able to help both the buyer and the seller and make double the commission in effect. Now, double ending a deal, dual agency is another way of calling it, is not in any way unethical. It's completely legal in the state of North Carolina to do it. But when you do it in such a manipulative way that some agents have been known to do it, it's slimy and a little bit unethical. Let's call it what it is. Now, we have to stress, if you are selling your home and you're in a coming soon stage, know that the days on market is continuing to click on both the MLS and on all the other websites like Zillow, Trulia, etc. Meaning if you are coming soon on say February 1st and you don't go active on the market, able for people to see the home until March 1st, that means you've had 28, 29 days on market, and people are going to wonder what's going on with your house. Why are there so many days on market? Unless they know to look to see that it was in coming soon status for an extended period of time, they're going to assume there's something wrong with your house, that other people have looked at your house and have not been interested. So it really hurts the seller to be on for an extended period of time like that. Now, that being said, don't always assume that your agent is being nefarious when they have your home extended period of time on coming soon. Maybe they don't know about that rule that the days on market click and continue forward. Maybe they're waiting for the good pictures to come back, and maybe you've been insistent that you want to get on the market very, very quickly, and so they're sort of following your direction. But know that sometimes this can be a bit of a slimy thing if it's handled incorrectly by the agent. And of course, another popular slimy thing that kind of is centered around the coming soon is when you are in a coming soon status, and although you are not supposed to be allowed to have showings during coming soon, maybe the agent lets people in or lets their friends with their their friend agents with their clients in, things like that happens. We have known of homes that have been in coming soon status that have mysteriously sold in the past. Doesn't necessarily mean things have been unethical. Someone could easily have seen the photos and said, I gotta have that house, I don't need to see it. But it does make you wonder. The next real estate scam we need to tell you about is the we have another offer scam. Basically, when a home has been on the market for a good number of days, for whatever reason, generally that is not a home that a lot of offers are coming to. And so if you go to see that home and your agent is then conveying to the listing agent that you're bringing an offer, and the listing agent says, oh, we have another offer, so you're going to want to bring your best and final. That can be a little bit slimy in the instance of that they really don't have an offer, that they're trying to get you to make a stronger offer than you normally would, because again, you assume that not a lot of people are seeing the home. Now, that being said, it is very possible that someone may have come along, decided that this house is exactly what they needed, and so they did indeed make an offer. It is completely legitimate that that's happened. However, we have known in the past this to happen with certain agents saying, oh, well, just to let you know, we already have another offer, all in an effort to get you, the buyer, to raise your rate, raise your price, and bring in a stronger offer than you maybe even needed to. Just know that it is possible, there is another offer, that the market has shifted and it has become super important for that buyer to relocate to the area and must have that house in that area. It can happen and it happens often, but just also know on the flip side, it could be that the agent is trying to get you to increase your offer. The next big scam we need to warn you about is fake emails and spoofing, and this has been going on quite a bit. In fact, our team has seen a huge upswing here at the beginning of 2026 in fake emails coming to our team asking us to click on an attachment or whatever from a attorney or a builder or something like that. And so of course we've had to warn the agents on our team and also our clients. We know a lot of our clients are watching this channel, watching this video. We really thank you for doing so. You may have gotten a call from us recently warning you that this is going on. If you haven't gotten a call, you will likely need to heed the warning here. Just please know that if you get any suspicious emails, don't click on any links. Call your agent, call the attorney and ask them, did you send me this message? We've gotten some crazy ones like hello@mortonbradbury.zip or .realty or some crazy stuff. We're mortonbradbury.com, not anything else. But we've seen it come back to us with weird, funky email addresses, but know that it could dramatically impact you and affect some of your personal data. If you click on those links, don't do it. This next scam we've talked about a little bit in the coming soon segment of this video, but we wanted to highlight some major issues with this now, and that is limiting the number of photos or the agent taking their own photos. Now, there's nothing that says an agent is not allowed to take photos of your home and put them on the MLS instead of hiring a professional photographer. Personally, we think that you need to have a professional photographer take the photos. It's going to look a little bit better than if I was to take it, certainly if I was to take the photos. But there's nothing really per se wrong with that unless the agent is deliberately trying to hide the listing. And why would they hide the listing? Again, if they want to double in the deal, work both ends of the deal, or they have a specific client that they know wants that house and they don't want to have any competition for that client. Obviously, this is at the detriment of the seller. The seller is wanting as many offers to come in as possible. And so if the pictures look horrible, looks like a crime scene, people are typically not going to want to go out and look at that home and buy that home. It's going to kind of push away demand. And so that could be done for any number of nefarious reasons. They may not have the intent of pushing away people and making your home look like a crime scene, but it does happen that some agents do it to gain the advantage. The next big scam we need to warn you about if you're looking to buy a home is courtesy of the home sellers. Now, again, not all home sellers do this, but there are some that know things are wrong with the house and they deliberately do not disclose those to the world through the North Carolina residential property disclosure, or they don't disclose them to their agent either. For example, maybe there was a major flood under the house at some point and they've gone under the house, put bleach on the walls and used paper towels or towels to dry up the water and all that. That will work for a short period of time to bleach out mold, but eventually it causes mold to come back even more ferociously. So these are things that a seller should always disclose. Legally, they're bound legally when they sign that residential property disclosure to disclose anything wrong with the house. But obviously, sellers wanting to maximize their value, and if they know there's structural issues with the house or they know there's that mold issue I just talked about, they may be incentivized to not disclose that. But please, sellers, please know that that will eventually bite you in the butt. A good buyer's agent is going to do an inspection with a general inspector, and those general inspectors are going to catch any issues you may have. So if you don't disclose that on the front end, you could be putting yourself into a world of hurt and into potential liability. Now, again, I am not saying just because a seller says on the property disclosure that there's nothing wrong with X, Y, and Z in the house, that they are deliberately hiding things, because quite frankly, some sellers don't know things are wrong. I can remember a story back, I was helping a buyer and I had a seller who had bats in their attic. They never went up in the attic. They didn't know they had bats, but there's somewhere on that property disclosure that says there's no environmental dangers in the house. Fortunately, bat poopies are dangerous environmentally, and so that seller didn't lie. They just didn't know. Sellers are not required to be Superman with X-ray vision that sees inside the walls and sees that there's a leak or whatever. Just know that not all sellers are nefarious, but there are some that do hide facts, and they do those at their own risk. The next big scam we need to tell you about is when listing agents refuse to call back buyer agents. Now, again, this could be caused by incompetence. They don't need to be evil and nefarious. I'm talking about the evil and nefarious listing agents out there that won't call you back. They're not calling back the buyer agent because they want to help an unrepresented buyer buy the house themselves and then double in that deal, do dual agency. That is the goal of these nefarious agents. Now, this is certainly very difficult to prove because, again, are you evil or just incompetent? I mean, it's hard to prove, and certainly the sellers will have absolutely no idea. Now, we've had a few situations happen in our personal home search where we've called a listing agent to get information on a home to find out when we could see the home, and we've not gotten a call back. We really wanted to see this home. We really wanted to make an offer on this home, we thought. And then magically, a day or two later, the home goes under contract, and the listing agent is both the listing agent and the buyer's agent. And unfortunately, the seller misses out in this situation because after we saw what the home sold for, we were likely going to pay much more than what the seller got on that home, but we couldn't see the home, so they didn't get our offer. And again, we can't prove that this was an evil agent doing this. It may have been an incompetent agent that just didn't call us back, but know that this does happen, and unfortunately, there's really not a lot you can do about it as a buyer or as a seller. You just gotta hope that the listing agents are all gonna be ethical and not do these kind of shenanigans. This next scam has been going on for a long time. It's when an agent calls a homeowner and says, I have a buyer for your home. Now, the agent may be calling the sellers, they may be emailing them, texting them, whatever. And sometimes they do have a buyer. And oftentimes we have actually done this where we've called homeowners and said, hey, we know you have a home that you tried to sell a year or 2 years ago. We do have a buyer for it. And so that would be a legitimate call. Unfortunately, a lot of agents use this as a way to get in the door with a homeowner and list their home as a way to get new listings and new homes for sale for that agent. And then of course the homeowner is welcoming this agent into their home thinking there's a buyer, and they ask, hey, where's this buyer? And then the buyer mysteriously disappears or decides not to buy the home for whatever reason. You may get a postcard in the mail from some agent who says, I have a buyer, and they may legitimately have a buyer. You may get a phone call. You may get an email from an agent that says, we have a buyer, and it may legitimately be the case. But also know there's other times out there when agents are using this stunt to get listings. And of course, it's unethical. They shouldn't be doing that. Only contact people when you actually have something to offer them legitimately. And unfortunately, this whole stunt kind of taints the idea in the minds of homeowners when agents call them. You could be legitimately having a home buyer like I would have, and that homeowner may not even call me back or may think I'm lying. So unfortunately, this stunt kind of damages the industry as a whole, and we would love agents to stop doing it. The next big scam we want to tell you about is pocket listing. So pocket listing is when a homeowner does not put their home on the MLS or Zillow, Truly, Realtor.com, MortonBradbury.com, whatever. They want to keep it under wraps. Now, there's nothing, and I repeat, nothing wrong about wanting to do that. We've had a number of sellers over the past 3-4 months who've said, we want to put our home on the market in the spring on the MLS so that it's cascaded out to everybody. But if you happen to find someone that comes to you that wants my type of house, I am willing to sell it in the winter. We're ready to sell now. We just don't want to put it on until the busy spring market. So that it would be a completely legitimate case. But again, using that concept, the pocket listing, as a way for the listing agent to get two sides of a deal is the unethical way of doing this. And that is what some agents do. They deliberately encourage or push a homeowner to do a pocket listing so that they can get both sides of the deal, make more money, or have one of their friends, their fellow agents, get the deal done. If a seller wants to do this, they want to have a pocket listing, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. An agent should help them and assist them in that process like we've done. But it's when the agent kind of forces you into it and sort of does it in a nefarious way, that's when it's not cool. The next big one, and this happens all the time, buying the listing. We call that seller stroking. That's when you go to a seller, you're having a listing appointment, you know you're competing against multiple other agents, and let's say I come in and I say this home is worth $1 million. Betty, the other agent, says it's worth $1,050,000. And Tom, the third agent, says, oh, they said it's only worth $1 million and $1,050,000? I can easily get you $1,250,000 for this house. They don't know what they're doing. They're idiots. That happens a lot. And that's when you're buying the listing and you're basically saying, I'm a better agent than those other agents. List with me. And then typically what happens is when a house is overpriced like that, it mysteriously ends up where that agent, Tom, is going to come back to you and say, hey, we haven't had any showings, we need to lower the price. And then before you know it, instead of that home selling for $1 million or $1,050,000, it ends up selling for $900,000, $925,000. So obviously those sellers should have probably gone with agent 1 or agent 2 instead of with agent Tom. And so this buying the listing technique ends up blowing up in everyone's face, unfortunately. Now, that all being said, Tom may not be evil. He may legitimately think your home is worth $1,250,000. Just know that if you have 3 agents that you talk to and 2 of them say your home is worth this, and you've got 1 agent that says your home is worth this, he or she may be a seller stroker trying to encourage you to take them to list your home and then is going to ask for price reductions. If you like Tom as an agent and you think he's going to get a good deal done for you, but you feel like these prices are more legitimate, then tell Tom, no, we don't want to list for $1,250,000. We want to list for $1 million or $1,050,000. Hope that's helpful. The next one is the fake open house. This is when a listing agent has a signed, sealed, and delivered offer on your home and still wants to do an open house. And they do it to get additional home buyers into their pipeline, knowing full well that that home is not available to be purchased. Now, The big caveat to this is if you have offers that you're working and negotiating, that is still a very legitimate time for you to do open houses, just in case those contracts fall through and now you're back at square one. You want to keep the momentum going. If you're not under contract, you're in the process of working through some offers, you definitely want to do an open house then. I'm talking about when the deal is signed, sealed, and delivered. There's no way that person that's coming into the open house could ever possibly buy this house. That's when it's unethical. That's when it's not cool. Now, of course, the only caveat to that is if the agent is letting people know when they walk in the door that we've just accepted an offer on this home, but I wanted to hold the open house because I marketed it and the world knew about it and I had signs up about it. And so that you, as the visitor to this home, if you'd like to make a backup offer, in North Carolina, we're able to do backup offers, then that is completely legitimate. I'm talking about when the agent doesn't bother to tell you all that and they've been under contract for a while and they're still getting your information and they maybe call you back that afternoon and say, oh, so sorry, we're under contract, but I can find you another one. That's when it's a little unethical. This next scam is when builders get involved in making scams. So this has been really bad in our area here in Raleigh and the Triangle area for the last few years, especially coming right out of COVID and the builders got really, really busy. The slimy builders, the unethical builders, the ones we have on our preferred builder list, meaning we prefer you don't buy a house from them, those preferred builders, they took advantage of the go-go times to make it a little difficult on the buyers. One thing that we've talked about really often on this channel is the contract that I read over for a buyer many years ago, and it said in the contract that the builder had up to 3 years to build your home. Could you imagine you're coming in from New York, coming in from California, Florida, and you've sold your house in those markets and you're moving here to be in short-term housing so that they finish your house on the time they said, but then they drag things out for a number of extra months or a year or up to 3 years? How terrible would that be for your situation? So in that regard, luckily I read the contract as all good agents should do, and I warned my folks, this is what it says. Are you sure you want to buy this house? They changed their mind, went and found them another house. So long extended periods in contracts is definitely a scam some builders play so that they don't get themselves in trouble legally to be bound to build that house in a quick, prompt period of time. They cover their butts, very often to the detriment of sellers, very often to the detriment of home buyers. Another scam that some unscrupulous builders pull is that they make it very, very difficult for inspectors to come inspect the property. They do this by requiring things like crazy insurance bonds that the inspector has to put up. We know of one builder that has a $1 million inspection bond that's required for an inspector to come on the property to do an inspection. Obviously, that's expensive for an inspector to do, and it's going to eliminate the number of inspectors out there. Another one that builders do that are slimy builders is they make the window very, very tight to get your inspections done. It basically means you have from Monday at noon until Tuesday at noon to get this inspection done, and you find out Saturday afternoon that you can now do that inspection. Well, very difficult at the last minute to get an inspector out to be able to do that kind of work that quickly. It's all done not to keep the ball rolling for the builder and keep the transaction going, but it's all done to keep you as the buyer from doing an inspection. Now, again, not all builders that this happens to are slimy, but it is typical that the slimy ones do this. The next scam we need to tell you about is agents refusing showing. So this is when the agent has full control over who sees the house. Typically in the Raleigh Triangle area, we have a showing service that's sort of a third-party site that the buyer agent contacts to get a request for a showing to happen. That showing service then contacts the listing agent or the seller to get approval. This instance of this crazy story I'm about to tell you, the agent did not have that set up. You had to call the agent directly. So we called the agent requesting to make an appointment to see this house. Incidentally, it was a house that popped up on our personal search that we were really, really interested in. We made repeated calls to this agent to see this house. It was on like coming soon with no showings available until 2 o'clock on a day, and then we tried to go see it and they kept refusing our calls. They wouldn't call us back, refusing the showings. We ended up going to see another house in this exact same neighborhood, and mysteriously they were cars of people in the driveway of this house that refused our showings. And so this happened, and we were a little shocked. And of course, amazingly, it went under contract the next day. Now, it wasn't a double-ended deal, but it was a deal nonetheless. Can we prove that that agent is evil and was doing that to kind of get their best buddy agent in the door to see this house? No, we can't prove that. But we do know that we made multiple attempts to see a house that was not on the showing service, and it ended up going under contract. And of course, a month later after this home sold, we were able to go into the tax records and see what it sold for. And I will let you know it sold for significantly less than what we would have offered on this home. So the seller missed out on likely a better deal, and they have no idea that that ever happened. Is that not a sad story for everyone involved? So thanks for watching. We hope this video has been helpful and educational to you as a home seller or a home buyer. Check out this video. We think you're really gonna like this one as well. Like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so, and we will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.